Hello everyone and welcome to my General Hospital Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In order to undermine Jason's alibi, Drew lies. Finn is rejected by BLQ as a sperm donor. Harrison Chase proposed Hamilton Finn as a sperm donor, while Drew Quartermain lied to undermine Jason Morgan's alibi, according to the General Hospital recap for Wednesday, February 26th. Chase surprised Brooke Lynn Quartermain at home when he proposed using Finn as a sperm donor. In this manner, the child would be biologically related to both Chase and Brooke Lynn. Chase believed that if Brooke Lynn was on board, they could discuss it with Finn tonight, but she punched the brakes and pointed out how difficult this could be. Take a peek at what transpired with Christina Corinthos Davis and Molly Lansing Davis. Even though Brooke Lynn didn't entirely reject the notion, Chase could tell she wasn't happy about it and appeared disappointed as he made his way to the gym. Tracy Quartermain boasted about her cease and desist order to Ned Quartermain, Olivia Quartermain, Lois Cerullo, and Giovanni Gio Palmieri downstairs at the Quartermain estate. Everyone was concerned about Scout Quartermain since she would no longer share her father's name, but Tracy intended to stop Drew from utilizing the Quartermain name. Gio said that although he never got the opportunity to meet his father, sharing a name with him made him feel like a relative. There were also worries that if her father wasn't a Quartermain, Scout surely wouldn't feel like one either. Tracy clearly didn't care that Lois, Ned, Olivia, and Gio opposed her proposal. Lois wondered what was wrong when she discovered Brooke Lynn pouting in her bedroom. When Brooke Lynn revealed Chase's plan to utilize Finn as a sperm donor, she went to Lois for guidance. Trina Robinson then stumbled while painting and fell into Kai Taylor's arms during Wednesday's GH episode. Trina and Kai then shared a passionate kiss as a result. Jack Brennan attempted to persuade Jocelyn Jacks that she was qualified to join the WSB in his office. Brennan also noted that Joss was able to talk to people and go into places that he couldn't since he was a gorgeous young college student. Jocelyn implied that Brennan may imprison her if she didn't comply, but he made it plain that she wasn't being coerced. However, Brennan needed to know if she was accepted or rejected because the offer was time-sensitive. In the end, Jocelyn made the decision to act in this way for the benefit of society as a whole and for Dex Heller, who desired to serve and be protected. Jocelyn was pleasantly delighted by Brennan's announcement that she would be departing tonight. Drew attempted to pretend that Jason was merely attempting to use his congressman brother as a cover for his crime at the PCPD, but he refused to support Jason's alibi. Drew informed Ada Turner that Jason wasn't present and stated that he was home by himself last night. Drew agreed to sign an official statement and acknowledged that he could not lie for Jason, even if he knew why he detested Cyrus. Carly Spencer was furious with Drew for lying as Jason was being taken away for booking, and she questioned how Willow Corinthos could be amenable to this. Willow, on the other hand, thought Drew was telling the truth, and she reassured him of this once more after they returned home. When Willow finally consented to move in with the kids, Drew was happy that she trusted him. Stella Henry informed Curtis Ashford at the hospital that she had arranged the meeting with Congressman Henderson, and that Curtis only needed to persuade him that Drew was using his position of authority to get retribution. After returning to the PCPD, Anna Devane informed Carly that she was no longer involved in the case and provided her with information about Cyrus's pursuit of Michael Corinthos in the hospital. Diane Miller rescued Jason and asked him who might have set him up. Jason felt that whoever was responsible for this had taken advantage of his recent threat against Cyrus, but he had no answers. Diane was aware that Jason's goals had changed, even though he had been careless in publicly telling Cyrus that they would never locate his body. Diane couldn't blame Jason because he was acting like a father at the time. When Jason and Anna met again, he predicted that since this was a professional job, Cyrus' body would not be discovered. Jason was freed after Diane obtained a court order, pointing out that the judge concurred with her that the DA's office had no case. Although Anna was equally committed to identifying the person responsible for Jason's frame-up, Ada Turner still intended to pursue this. According to General Hospital spoilers, Anna's inquiry will take some unexpected turns, so pay attention. Martin kills himself by blaming himself for Cyrus's murderous rampage. According to General Hospital previews, Martin Gray will be shocked to hear that his brother Cyrus Renault is not only dead but also accountable for other murders through his Angel of Mercy killings. Martin would not take this well because he would soon see that Cyrus thought, He had to handle things himself because he had no control over the care of their mother, Florence. Martin believes that by keeping Florence away from Cyrus, Cyrus lost control, went on a murderous rampage, and began to descend into a downward spiral. Martin Gray begins to go crazy. Martin loses his mind and begins to lose his temper, attacking everyone. He would vent his frustration on Elizabeth Baldwin and Lucky Spencer, who were looking into Cyrus. He would disregard his cases, which would ultimately have a negative impact on Willow Corinthos's divorce proceedings. It wouldn't look good if Martin turned to the bottle for solace. Because of something that is not his fault, Martin is on a path to complete self-destruction. Laura Collins, his sister, would undoubtedly attempt to contact him, but it would be challenging. Martin Gray must be saved. Martin Gray will require someone to communicate with him and help him see that Cyrus is to blame for the deaths, not him. Lucy Coe, his ex-girlfriend, might be the one to convince him of this. Martin would be protected by Lucy as well, and she might even take advantage of the circumstance to get him back in her bed. Although Lucy still wants to assist Martin and loves him, she still wants him for herself. Martin might not be open to Lucy's desire to reconcile, but he might change his mind if she helps him recover from his self-destruction. Martin Gray returns. Martin will eventually stop hating himself and begin to move past his brother's guilt. Martin will ultimately come to the conclusion that he is not responsible for Cyrus's behavior, whether Lucy brings him back or not. It's highly probable that Lucy and Martin will get back together, if she does help him feel like himself again. How do you feel? What are your thoughts? When Martin finds out that Cyrus is a murderer, how will he respond? Will Martin hold himself responsible? Will Lucy save him or will he destroy himself? General Hospital resurrects a much-necessary character whose character is wed to a fellow star? When General Hospital brought back Ada Turner in the February 25th episode, we had to applaud. In addition to being an extremely captivating presence on screen, Nazneen Contractor's character provides a much-needed counterpoint to a show that usually depicts hitmen like heroes and allows mobsters get away with murder. Right, Kates? And the soap has featured a lot of underworld types. Naturally, Jason won't be sent upriver for Cyrus murder by General Hospital. Nevertheless, it makes sense for Turner to target Jason as her top suspect in light of the available evidence, even if Brennan created it. Additionally, Turner does not view Stone Cold as some kind of misguided Batman, unlike Anna, who was blatantly arrogant in her defense of the career criminal. She recognizes him for what he is, a man who has worked for the Don Corleone of Port Charles all of his life. Not exactly stuff for exemplary citizens. The part where Turner told Anna to book Jason and bring in his alibi was really entertaining. The ADA stated bluntly, "I'm not going to take Morgan's word for it, unlike some people. Give a sermon." The character needs to be given more depth and a romantic interest by the show. Although we would be grateful to the soap opera gods if she were to take Natalia's place in Sonny's arms, Turner would not be the first law enforcement officer to fall for the Dawn. No, she needs a decent guy and they're not easy to find. Will Guy Wilson continue to appear on the show? According to General Hospital spoilers, many viewers are left wondering if Guy Wilson will remain on the program indefinitely as the new Lucky. Everyone is interested in knowing that. For all the information you require, continue reading below. Spoilers for General Hospital. Will Guy Wilson always be on the show? The fact that actor Jonathan Jackson was not given the chance to see Lucky's first kiss with Elizabeth seems to have angered a lot of General Hospital viewers. Guy Wilson, his temporary employee, completed the task for him instead. Many have questioned why the authors couldn't wait for JJ to return, particularly for such a crucial scene between Lucky and Liz. Is there any chance that Guy will be assuming the role going forward? Of course, there was a lot to say about the issue on the internet. Considering how complicated those few sequences were, some critics and fans even said in their comments, "I thought he did a great job. Having a sub is awful, but this guy did an incredible job." Guy stepped in and did a good job, but I wish they had been able to save Liz and Lucky's first kiss in what seems like centuries for JJ's return. According to another critic, he wasn't bad. I was reminded of JJ by his voice and demeanor. But for me, JJ is the only true Lucky. I'm curious as to whether other actors declined the role. Can you picture having to enter behind the original character during two crucial scenes? Additionally, there was this comment, I detest it. However, the actors are not to blame. But for me, he simply wasn't lucky. Glad it was just 2 episodes. I detest that Lucky and Liz did not share their first kiss with JJ. General Hospital spoilers. Lucky and Liz's future? That was the one thing that made me angry. Couldn't they have changed that passage to a second near kiss at the last minute? The show's producers have not yet responded to the criticism they have been subjected to. It goes without saying that viewers of General Hospital will need to watch every single day to see what happens next. Drew lies to ruin Jason's alibi. BLQ rejects Finn as sperm donor. In the bustling town of Port Charles, where secrets are currency and trust is a rare commodity, the lives of its residents are perpetually intertwined in a web of love, betrayal, and ambition. 2 storylines recently collided, sending shockwaves through the community. Drew's calculated lies to dismantle Jason's alibi, and Brooklyn Quartermain's BLQ surprising decision to reject Finn as her sperm donor. These events not only revealed the depths of human desperation, but also highlighted the fragile nature of relationships in a world where everyone has something to hide. Drew's deception. A calculated move to destroy Jason's alibi. Drew Kane had always been a man of principle, or so it seemed. A former Navy SEAL, Drew was known for his loyalty and unwavering sense of justice. However, recent events had pushed him to the brink, and desperation had begun to cloud his judgment. His relationship with Jason Morgan, his biological brother, had always been complicated. While they shared a bond forged by blood, their paths had diverged significantly over the years. Jason, the enigmatic enforcer for the Corinthos organization, lived a life shrouded in danger and moral ambiguity. Drew, on the other hand, had tried to distance himself from that world, striving for a semblance of normalcy. But when Jason became a suspect in a high-profile crime, Drew saw an opportunity to rid himself of the shadow his brother cast over his life. The crime in question was the murder of a prominent Port Charles businessman, and all evidence pointed to Jason. However, Jason had an airtight alibi, or so he thought. On the night of the murder, Jason had been at a private meeting with several witnesses who could vouch for his whereabouts. It seemed like an open and shut case, but Drew had other plans. Drew's resentment toward Jason had been simmering for years. He blamed Jason for the chaos that seemed to follow him wherever he went. Drew's life had been upended time and time again because of his association with Jason, and he was tired of paying the price for his brother's choices. Determined to take matters into his own hands, Drew began to weave a web of lies designed to dismantle Jason's alibi. Using his connections and resources, Drew planted false evidence suggesting that Jason had bribed the witnesses to lie for him. He fabricated text messages and emails, creating a paper trail that pointed to Jason's guilt. Drew even went so far as to manipulate security footage, making it appear as though Jason had been at the scene of the crime. The once solid alibi began to crumble under the weight of Drew's deception. As the evidence mounted, Jason found himself in an increasingly precarious position. The police, convinced of his guilt, closed in on him, and even his closest allies began to doubt his innocence. Jason, ever the stoic, refused to defend himself publicly, believing that the truth would eventually come to light. But Drew's lies were too convincing, and Jason's reputation was tarnished beyond repair. Drew's actions were not without consequence. His betrayal cut deep, not just for Jason but for their entire family. Carly Corinthos, Jason's longtime friend and confidant, was devastated by the turn of events. She had always believed in Jason's innocence and was determined to uncover the truth. As she dug deeper, Carly began to suspect that Drew was behind the fabricated evidence. Confronting him, she demanded to know why he would betray his own brother. Drew, his guilt weighing heavily on him, confessed to his actions. He explained that he had grown tired of living in Jason's shadow, and felt that the only way to break free was to destroy Jason's life. Carly, though sympathetic to Drew's struggles, could not condone his actions. She warned him that the truth would eventually come out, and when it did, he would lose everything. BLQ's decision, rejecting Finn as a sperm donor. Meanwhile, in another corner of Port Charles, Brooklyn Quartermain BLQ was grappling with a deeply personal decision. BLQ, the spirited and ambitious granddaughter of Edward Quartermain, had always marched to the beat of her own drum. Her career as a musician was on the rise, but her personal life was a different story. After a series of failed relationships, BLQ had decided to take control of her future by pursuing single motherhood. She had approached Dr. Hamilton Finn, a respected physician and close family friend, with a request to be her sperm donor. Finn, though initially taken aback by the request, had agreed to consider it. He admired BLQ's determination and wanted to support her in any way he could. However, as the reality of the situation set in, Finn began to have second thoughts. He was still grappling with the aftermath of his own failed marriage and wasn't sure if he was ready to take on such a significant responsibility, even in a donor capacity. When Finn finally sat down with BLQ to discuss his decision, he was honest about his reservations. He explained that while he respected her choice, he didn't feel comfortable being involved in such a life-altering decision. BLQ, though disappointed, understood Finn's perspective. She appreciated his honesty and knew that this was a decision that required complete certainty from both parties. However, BLQ's rejection of Finn as a sperm donor was not just about his hesitation. It was also a reflection of her own growth and self-awareness. BLQ had always been fiercely independent, but her journey toward single motherhood had forced her to confront her own fears and insecurities. She realized that she didn't need to rely on someone else to fulfill her dreams. She was capable of doing it on her own. BLQ's decision sent ripples through the Quartermain family. Her grandfather, Edward, was initially skeptical of her plans, believing that she was too young and impulsive to take on the responsibilities of motherhood. However, as he witnessed her determination and resolve, he began to soften his stance. Edward, ever the patriarch, offered his support, albeit reluctantly. On the other hand, BLQ's mother, Tracy Quartermain, was less understanding. Tracy, who had always been critical of BLQ's choices, saw her daughter's decision as another example of her recklessness. The two women clashed repeatedly, their arguments growing increasingly heated. Tracy accused BLQ of being selfish and short-sighted, while BLQ fired back, accusing her mother of being controlling and unsupportive. Despite the familial tension, BLQ remained steadfast in her decision. She began exploring other options for sperm donation, determined to find a solution that aligned with her values and goals. Her journey was not without its challenges, but BLQ's resilience and determination shone through. She was determined to create the life she had always envisioned, on her own terms. The intersection of betrayal and independence. The parallel storylines of Drew's betrayal and BLQ's rejection of Finn as a sperm donor may seem unrelated at first glance, but they are deeply connected by themes of trust, independence, and the lengths people will go to achieve their goals. Drew's actions were driven by a desire to break free from the constraints of his past, while BLQ's decision was a testament to her commitment to forging her own path. Both characters were at a crossroads, forced to make difficult choices that would have far-reaching consequences. For Drew, his lies were a desperate attempt to reclaim control over his life, but they came at the cost of his integrity and relationships. For BLQ, her rejection of Finn was a bold declaration of her independence, but it also meant facing the challenges of single motherhood alone. As the dust settled in Port Charles, the fallout from these events continued to reverberate. Jason, though innocent, was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered reputation. Drew, consumed by guilt, struggled to come to terms with the consequences of his actions. And BLQ, though confident in her decision, faced an uncertain future as she embarked on her journey toward motherhood. In the end, these storylines served as a reminder that every choice has a consequence, and that the pursuit of one's goals often comes at a price. For the residents of Port Charles, the road ahead was fraught with challenges, but it was also filled with the promise of redemption, growth, and new beginnings. Martin self-destructs, blaming himself for Cyrus's killing spree. Martin had always been a man of quiet introspection, the kind of person who carried the weight of the world on his shoulders without ever letting it show. He was the type to internalize every mistake, every misstep, and every failure, no matter how small. But nothing could have prepared him for the crushing guilt that followed Cyrus's killing spree. It wasn't just the sheer horror of the events themselves, it was the unbearable belief that he, Martin, was somehow responsible. That he could have stopped it. That he should have seen it coming. The first time Martin met Cyrus, he saw a troubled young man, but nothing more. Cyrus was quiet, reserved, and often withdrawn, but Martin had chalked it up to the struggles of youth. He had been a mentor to Cyrus, a guiding figure in a life that seemed to lack direction. Martin had tried to help, to offer advice, to be a steady presence in Cyrus's chaotic world. But now, in the aftermath of the bloodshed, Martin couldn't shake the feeling that he had failed, that he had missed the signs, that he had let Cyrus down. The killing spree had been swift and brutal. Cyrus had targeted people he felt had wronged him, people who had slighted him in ways that only he could understand. By the time the authorities caught up with him, the damage was done. Lives were lost, families were shattered, and a community was left reeling. And Martin? Martin was left with the haunting question. Could I have stopped this? The guilt consumed him. It ate away at his thoughts, his sleep, his very sense of self. He replayed every interaction with Cyrus, searching for clues he might have missed, for moments where he could have intervened. He remembered the times Cyrus had lashed out in anger, the times he had spoken of feeling invisible, of being misunderstood. Martin had tried to reason with him, to offer comfort, but now he wondered if he had done enough. If he had been too passive, too lenient, too blind to the darkness brewing within Cyrus. As the days turned into weeks, Martin's guilt began to manifest in destructive ways. He withdrew from his friends and family, isolating himself in a cocoon of self-loathing. He stopped eating, stopped sleeping, stopped caring about anything but the pain that gnawed at him from within. He began to drink heavily, using alcohol as a means to numb the anguish, but it only made things worse. The more he drank, the more his thoughts spiraled, the more he convinced himself that he was to blame. Martin's self-destruction was not just emotional, it was physical too. He stopped taking care of himself, stopped shaving, stopped bathing. His once neat appearance became disheveled, a reflection of the chaos within. He stopped going to work, stopped answering calls, stopped living. He was a shell of the man he had once been, consumed by the belief that he had failed not only Cyrus but everyone who had been affected by the killing spree. The turning point came one night when Martin found himself standing on the edge of a bridge, staring down at the dark, swirling waters below. The thought of ending it all had crossed his mind more than once, but this was the first time he had acted on it. He stood there for what felt like hours, the cold wind biting at his skin, the weight of his guilt pressing down on him like a physical force. He wanted to jump, to let the water swallow him whole, to escape the pain that had become his constant companion. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the faint memory of a time when he had been happy, when he had believed in the goodness of the world. Maybe it was the thought of the people who still cared about him, who would be devastated by his loss. Or maybe it was the realization that deep down he didn't want to die. He just wanted the pain to stop. Whatever it was enough to make him step back from the edge, to turn away from the abyss and take the first tentative steps toward healing. The road to recovery was long and arduous. Martin sought therapy, confronting the guilt and self-blame that had nearly destroyed him. He learned to forgive himself, to accept that he was not omnipotent, that he could not have controlled Cyrus's actions. He began to rebuild his life, one small step at a time, finding solace in the support of those who loved him and in the knowledge that he had done the best he could with the information he had at the time. In the end, Martin came to understand that guilt, while a natural response to tragedy, could also be a prison. He realized that blaming himself for Cyrus's actions was not only unfair but also unproductive. It didn't change what had happened, and it didn't honor the memories of those who had been lost. What mattered now was how he chose to move forward, how he chose to live his life in the aftermath of the storm. Martin's journey was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, to the capacity for growth and healing, even in the face of unimaginable pain. He learned to carry his guilt not as a burden, but as a reminder of his humanity, of his capacity for empathy and compassion. And though the scars of the past would always remain, they no longer defined him. Martin had found a way to rise from the ashes, to reclaim his life, and to find hope in the darkness. Themes and analysis. Guilt and responsibility. Martin's story explores the complex relationship between guilt and responsibility. While it is natural to feel guilt in the wake of tragedy, Martin's self-blame becomes destructive, highlighting the dangers of internalizing responsibility for events beyond one's control. Mental health and self-destruction. The narrative delves into the impact of guilt on mental health, illustrating how unchecked self-blame can lead to self-destructive behaviors such as isolation, substance abuse, and suicidal ideation. Redemption and healing. Martin's journey toward recovery underscores the importance of seeking help, confronting painful emotions, and finding ways to move forward. His story is one of redemption, showing that it is possible to heal even after experiencing profound pain. The role of mentorship. The relationship between Martin and Cyrus raises questions about the limits of mentorship and the extent to which one person can influence another's actions. Martin's guilt stems from his belief that he failed as a mentor, but the narrative ultimately suggests that individuals are responsible for their own choices. Resilience and hope. Despite the darkness of the story, it ends on a note of hope, emphasizing the resilience of the human spirit and the possibility of finding light, even in the darkest of times. Is Guy Wilson permanently staying on the show? The question of whether Guy Wilson is permanently staying on the show has sparked significant interest and debate among fans and critics alike. Guy Wilson, a talented and versatile actor, has made a notable impact on the series since his introduction, bringing depth, charisma, and a fresh dynamic to the storyline. His portrayal of his character has resonated with audiences, leading to widespread speculation about his long-term role in the show. To address this question, it is essential to explore various aspects, including his character's development, the show's narrative direction, fan reception, and behind-the-scenes factors that influence casting decisions. Guy Wilson's introduction and character development. Guy Wilson joined the show at a pivotal moment, stepping into a role that had previously been portrayed by another actor. This transition is always a delicate process, as audiences often form strong attachments to the original portrayal of a character. However, Wilson managed to make the role his own, bringing a unique interpretation that added new layers to the character. His performance has been praised for its emotional depth, authenticity, and ability to connect with viewers on a personal level. The character Wilson plays is complex, with a rich backstory and multifaceted personality. Over the course of his tenure on the show, the writers have taken the character through various arcs, exploring different facets of their life, relationships, and personal growth. This development has allowed Wilson to showcase his range as an actor, from moments of intense drama to lighter, comedic scenes. The character's evolution has been integral to the show's ongoing narrative, making Wilson's presence increasingly indispensable. The show's narrative direction. The decision to keep an actor on a show permanently often hinges on the direction the writers and producers want to take the storyline. In the case of Guy Wilson, his character has become deeply intertwined with several key plot lines. The show's narrative has increasingly relied on his character's interactions, decisions, and relationships to drive the story forward. This integration suggests that the character is not just a temporary addition, but a central figure in the show's overarching plot. Moreover, the show has invested significant time and resources into developing Wilson's character, indicating a long-term commitment. The writers have introduced new characters and story arcs that revolve around his character, further cementing his importance to the show's fabric. This narrative investment is a strong indicator that the producers see Wilson as a permanent fixture in the series. Fan reception and popularity. Fan reception plays a crucial role in determining an actor's longevity on a show. In the case of Guy Wilson, the response from viewers has been overwhelmingly positive. Fans have taken to social media to express their admiration for his performance, with many praising his ability to bring a fresh perspective to the character. This positive reception has undoubtedly influenced the producer's decision to keep him on the show. The character's popularity has also translated into increased viewership and engagement. Episodes featuring significant moments for Wilson's character often see a spike in ratings, demonstrating his impact on the show's success. This fan-driven support is a powerful motivator for the show's creators to ensure that Wilson remains a permanent part of the cast. Behind-the-scenes factors. Behind-the-scenes factors, such as contracts, negotiations, and the actor's personal career goals, also play a significant role in determining whether an actor stays on a show permanently. In the case of Guy Wilson, there have been reports of ongoing contract negotiations aimed at securing his long-term involvement in the series. These negotiations are a positive sign, indicating that both the actor and the producers are interested in maintaining their working relationship. Additionally, Wilson's commitment to the role and his enthusiasm for the character have been evident in interviews and public appearances. He has expressed a deep connection to the character and a desire to continue exploring their journey. This level of dedication is reassuring for fans who hope to see him remain on the show for the foreseeable future. The impact of Guy Wilson's presence. Guy Wilson's presence on the show has had a profound impact, not just on the narrative, but also on the overall dynamic of the cast. His chemistry with fellow actors has been a highlight, leading to some of the show's most memorable moments. The relationships his character has formed with others on the show have added depth and complexity to the storyline, making his continued presence essential for maintaining these dynamics. Furthermore, Wilson's portrayal has brought a new energy to the show, attracting a broader audience and reinvigorating longtime fans. His ability to balance drama, humor, and vulnerability has made his character a fan favorite, and his departure would undoubtedly leave a significant void. Speculations and rumors. Despite the positive indicators, there have been speculations and rumors about Guy Wilson's future on the show. Some sources suggest that his character may be written off in a dramatic exit, while others believe he will continue to be a central figure. These rumors often stem from the unpredictable nature of television storytelling, where characters can be killed off or written out for various reasons. However, it's important to approach these speculations with caution. The entertainment industry is known for its secrecy, and decisions about an actor's future on a show are often kept under wraps until the last possible moment. Until there is official confirmation from the show's producers or Wilson himself, these rumors remain just that, rumors. The role of social media and fan campaigns. In today's digital age, social media has become a powerful tool for fans to voice their opinions and influence decisions. In the case of Guy Wilson, fan campaigns on platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook have played a significant role in advocating for his permanent stay on the show. Hashtags, petitions, and fan art have flooded social media, demonstrating the strong support for his character. These campaigns have not gone unnoticed by the show's creators. In some instances, fan-driven movements have led to changes in the show's direction, including the decision to keep certain characters on. The overwhelming support for Wilson suggests that the producers are aware of his importance to the audience, and may be more inclined to keep him on as a result. The future of the show and Guy Wilson's role. Looking ahead, the future of the show seems promising with Guy Wilson as a central figure. The character's ongoing development and the potential for new storylines offer exciting possibilities for both the actor and the audience. As the show continues to evolve, Wilson's role is likely to become even more integral, with his character facing new challenges, forming new relationships, and undergoing further growth. The show's creators have a history of listening to their audience and making decisions that align with fan preferences. Given the positive reception of Wilson's portrayal, it is reasonable to expect that they will continue to invest in his character, ensuring that he remains a permanent part of the series. Conclusion.